In the warm embrace of the Mediterranean sun, Pompeii thrived as one of the brightest jewels of the Roman world. Its streets echoed with voices of merchants bargaining, poets reciting verses, and citizens seeking leisure in bathhouses and theaters. Marble fountains sparkled in public squares, villas overflowed with art and music, and vineyards rolled across fertile hills. To the people who lived here, life was abundant, secure, and everlasting. A paradise built at the foot of a silent mountain, blissfully unaware of the shadow preparing to awaken. For generations, Mount Vesuvius was a silent guardian, a peaceful giant whose slopes nurtured vineyards, orchards, and farms. Families picnicked under its shade, children climbed its paths, and travelers marveled at its height. The mountain was so calm, so utterly still, that no one remembered it as a volcano. It rested like a god carved from stone, and the people trusted it without question. Their world felt eternal, untouched by fear, untested by disaster, dreaming quietly beneath a sleeping titan. Yet nature whispers before it screams. In the days before the eruption, subtle signs stirred around Pompeii. Animals grew restless and fled the fields. Fountains slowed to a trickle, and wells dried mysteriously. Tremors rippled through the earth, rattling jars and shaking lamps. Still, life continued. Romans laughed, feasted, and toasted to the gods, believing the world unbreakable. They mistook warnings for quirks of nature, tiny cracks in a perfect world that would soon shatter in an instant. Just after midday on August 24th, the impossible happened. With a roar like the sky tearing open, Mount Vesuvius erupted in a blinding flash. A towering column of smoke and fire shot into the heavens, rising miles above the earth. A monstrous pine-shaped cloud of ash, stone, and fire. The air vibrated with thunder. The ground shook beneath frantic feet, and the peace of centuries vanished in a heartbeat. Pompeii's sky darkened, and fear spread far faster than the ash that began to fall like a deadly rain. In mere hours, the brilliance of Pompeii was buried under a suffocating storm of ash. Day turned to night as thick smoke swallowed the sun. Roofs collapsed under the crushing weight. Statues vanished beneath gray powder, and streets once filled with life became rivers of falling debris. People huddled together in terror, clutching children, praying to gods who seemed suddenly silent. Torches flickered weakly against choking darkness. A city of light and laughter had become a world of shadows and breathless dread. To the west, Herculaneum faced a different fate. Sudden, violent, and final. Superheated mud, toxic gases, and boiling ash cascaded down the mountain with unstoppable force. Homes and temples dissolved in moments. Families fled toward the sea, desperate for escape, only to be overtaken by a wave of fire and smoke. The destruction came so swiftly that life froze mid-motion. A town swallowed whole without time for a final prayer. In less than an hour, Herculaneum was no more. By nightfall, the world was unrecognizable. Flames danced in the swirling clouds above, and lightning crackled through the ash like the fury of ancient gods. The skies glowed red as burning fragments rained from above. People wandered blindly, crying out for loved ones they could no longer see through the smoke. It was not simply night. It was a darkness so absolute, so suffocating, that hope itself seemed to fade. Pompeii trembled beneath a sky of fire as the earth claimed what it once gave. As dawn approached, the final blow descended. A torrential wave of ash, gas, and stone sweeping down the mountain at unimaginable speed. It was hotter than fire, faster than wind, and more final than any army. It crushed streets, collapsed walls, and silenced every breath it touched. In a single devastating surge, Pompeii's story ended. When the dust settled, an eerie stillness blanketed the land. No cries, no footsteps, only silence and the settling sigh of a world turned to stone. And then, nothing. Pompeii lay hidden beneath 20 feet of volcanic ash, sealed away like a secret the earth was unwilling to share. Wind blew, seasons changed, empires rose and fell. Yet Pompeii slept untouched, perfectly preserved. Centuries passed and memory faded. The living world moved on, never knowing that beneath quiet soil lay an entire city, frozen at the very moment life turned to dust. Across the bay, a young man named Pliny watched the tragedy unfold. His words, written with trembling hands and heavy heart, would become history's first true account of a volcanic catastrophe. He witnessed the skies burn, the seas boil, and the world tremble. Torn between fear and the unyielding Roman curiosity to understand nature's power. Through his letters, the voices of Pompeii would whisper across time, waiting for the day when the world would finally listen. 17 centuries later, the earth finally gave up its secret. In 1748, workers digging near Naples struck ancient stone. Walls, streets, statues, rooms untouched since that deadly day. The past rose from the dust like a ghost awakening. Archaeologists rushed to uncover what nature had sealed. Layer by layer, they brushed away ash, revealing homes, gardens, artwork, and the silent witnesses to a forgotten world. Pompeii breathed again, not in life, but in memory. What they found was not just ruins, but humanity preserved in its final heartbeat. Bodies turned to stone still held the shapes of fear, prayer, and love. Jewelry clung to wrists. Sandals remained on feet. Expressions lingered frozen in ash. In these fragile forms, the ancient Romans lived again, not as statues of empire, but as mothers, children, lovers, friends. Their final moments became their eternal legacy. In Pompeii, even the walls speak. Graffiti carved in plaster revealed humor, passion, gossip, and dreams, proof that ancient hearts weren't so different from our own. Lovers declared devotion, friends celebrated life, and strangers scribbled fleeting thoughts that would outlast them by millennia. In every faded inscription lies a whisper of a life cut short, a reminder that history is not only carved in stone, but written in the laughter and longing of ordinary people. Pompeii teaches us that beauty and danger often share the same soil. The land that nurtured vineyards and temples also harbored a force beyond imagination. Humanity builds, dreams, and rises, yet nature remains sovereign. The ruins stand as a solemn warning and a humbling reminder. Civilization is precious, fragile, and never guaranteed. In the shadow of mountains, we live with the quiet truth that life can change in a single breath. Today, Pompeii rests in reverent silence. Its streets no longer echo with voices, yet every stone carries a memory. Travelers walk through time, tracing footsteps frozen in ash. Beneath the quiet sky, Vesuvius still looms, calm but never forgotten. Pompeii did not survive the fire, yet it endures through history, art, and awe. In its silence, we hear not the end of a city, but the enduring heartbeat of human memory, eternal as the mountain that once destroyed it.